All right, so like Josh said this morning, um, we're going to be going through the genealogy here in Genesis 36. Um, we've talked a lot of times so far in Genesis. Josh mentioned this morning that Genesis uses genealogies to move the story forward, uses them to mark a shift in the focus of the story. So we're going to dive in this morning and pray for me as I attempt to go through all of these names this morning. I did a practice run yesterday, and mom said I did a good job, but also that's my mom, so she has to say that. Um, also, as we're going through this, I want you all to count how many times in this passage that we were reminded that Esau is Edom. Okay? So we'll dive in here starting in verse number 1. And it says, "These are the generations of Esau, that is Edom. Esau took his wives from the Canaanites, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Basemath, Ishmael's daughter, the sister of Nebaioth. And Adah bore to Esau Eliphaz, Basemath bore Reuel, and Oholibamah bore Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau who were born to him in the land of Canaan. Then Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the members of his household, his livestock, all his beasts, and all his property that he had acquired in the land of Canaan. He went into a land away from his brother Jacob, for their possessions were too great for them to dwell together. The land of their sojournings could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau settled in the hill country of Seir. Esau is Edom. These are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reuel, the son of Basemath, the wife of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Timnah was a concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son. She bore Amalek to Eliphaz. These are the sons of Adah, Esau's wives. These are the sons of Reuel: Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These are the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife. She bore to Esau Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These are the chiefs of the sons of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, the chiefs Taman, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. These are the chiefs of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Adah. These are the sons of Reuel, Esau's son, the chiefs Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These are the chiefs of Reuel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Oholibamah, Esau's wife, the chiefs Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These are the chiefs born of Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, that is Edom, and these are their chiefs. These are the sons of Seir the Horite, the inhabitants of the land: Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. These are the chiefs of the Horites, the sons of Seir in the land of Edom. The sons of Lotan were Hori and Heman, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. These are the sons of Shobal: Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. These are the sons of Zibeon: Ai and Anah. He is the Anah who found the hot springs in the wilderness as he pastured the donkeys of Zibeon his father. These are the children of Anah: Dishon and Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah. These are the sons of Dishon: Hemdan, Eshban, Ithran, and Cheran. These are the sons of Ezer: Bilhan, Zavan, and Achan. These are the sons of Dishan: Uz and Aaron. These are the chiefs of the Horites, the chiefs Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. These are the chiefs of the Horites, chief by chief, in the land of Seir. These are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the Israelites. And I want you to notice there it specifies these kings were in Edom before there were any kings over the Israelites. Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom, the name of his city being Dinhabah. Bela died, and Jobab, the son of Zerah of Basra, reigned in his place. Jobab died, and Husham of the land of the Timonites reigned in his place. Husham died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, reigned in his place, the name of his city being Avith. Hadad died, and Samlah of Masrekah reigned in his place. Samlah died, and Shaul of Rehoboth on the Euphrates reigned in his place. Shaul died, and Belhanan, the son of Achbor, reigned in his place. Belhanan, the son of Achbor, died, and Hadar reigned in his place, the name of his city being Pau. His wife's name was Mehetabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. These are the names of the chiefs of Esau, according to their clans and their dwelling places by their names. The chiefs Timnah, Alva, Jetheth, Aholibamah, Elah, Penan, Kenaz, Teman, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Aram. These are the chiefs of Edom, that is Esau, the father of Edom, according to their dwelling places in the land of their possessions. And may God add a blessing to the reading of his word this morning. That was an adventure. So, I know we took a break from Genesis for a while for Easter and Lent. So we're going to get a little recap here of who Esau is and why he's important. So Esau is Jacob's brother, his older brother. Esau was his father's favorite, while Jacob was their mother's favorite. Esau, as we discussed, he had a bit of a temper, he was a little overdramatic, and he wasn't the best decision maker. All of that combined to see Esau, the older son, selling his birthright for some soup. But even before that, before Esau and Jacob were born, we saw that Jacob would be God's chosen one to carry out his promises, and Esau would not. So this chapter, when reading straight through the book of Genesis, seems a little bit out of place. Chapter 35, we talked about last week, we saw Jacob being renamed Israel, and we saw his people moving. Chapter 37 is going to get into the story of Jacob's son, Joseph. So why is the genealogy of Esau stuck right here in the middle of those two stories? We saw Jacob's family move. Next week we see the continuation of Jacob's family. So why do we have Esau stuck right here in the middle of all of this? This is the second time that we've seen something like this in Genesis. So back in Genesis 25, we saw a short account of the non-chosen son Ishmael, followed by a much longer 10-chapter account of the chosen son Isaac. Here we get a single chapter for the account of the non-chosen Esau, followed by a much longer account of the chosen son Jacob and his line. So we see Jacob, we've been following Jacob for I think 4 chapters now. We have this one chapter for Esau, and then Jacob's line continues until the end of the book of Genesis. So we're going to look a little bit at what we see in this passage, and then we're going to jump into why I think this passage is here. In the first verse, we're reminded that Esau's other name is Edom. He's the father of the Edomites. That's going to be very important later on in the story. Then we get introduced again to Esau's Canaanite wives. We know from previous stories that these wives were a source of annoyance to Isaac and Rebekah, and they were the main reason that Jacob was sent away to find a proper wife. The mention of Basemath here reminds us that Esau did later marry a non-Canaanite wife to try to appease his parents. Remember when they sent Jacob away, Esau said, "Oh, they don't like my wives. Let me go find one they will like." And thought that maybe marrying a non-Canaanite woman would make his parents happier with him. So the story names Esau's children by all of his wives, and then says that they moved to the hill country of Seir, which is also called Edom later on. In moving to Seir, Esau leaves the promised land, leaving it to Jacob, mirroring his giving up of his birthright and his father's blessing. So just like Esau gave up his birthright, he gave up his father's blessing, he gave all of that to Jacob. Here, he gives him the promised land by leaving and moving to the hill country. And the writer here uses similar language as to when Lot moved away from Abraham earlier on in the book. And I think that's done very intentionally. It's done for two reasons. The first is to show the wealth and prosperity of the brothers. They had so many possessions, people, and livestock that the land they were in couldn't sustain them both. So one of them had to leave. Both brothers were doing very well for themselves. The second reason is to make sure that we understand that Jacob is the continuation of Abraham while Esau falls away, much like Lot did. Much like Abraham and Lot, this split seems to be amicable, right? We see that they're living together. They're enjoying each other's company. They're not arguing and fighting. But just because Jacob and Esau get along doesn't mean their descendants are going to. So I asked you earlier to count how many times we're reminded in this passage that Esau was Edom. So how many times was it said in the passage? 5 times. 5 times in this passage we're reminded Esau is Edom. Now, if you've been at New Haven any amount of time, you've heard us say, if something is repeated, pay attention. There's a reason that something is repeated. Not only are we reminded that Esau is Edom, we're told that his children and grandchildren are the chiefs of the Edomites. At the end of the chapter, we get the names of the first Edomite kings. So it's really emphasized here that much like Jacob, Esau's descendants also become a nation and a great people. And that all goes back to Abraham. It was promised to Abraham that he would be a great nation and he would be a great people that would be innumerable. So, even though the main focus is on the direct line of Christ, or the direct line to Christ of God's chosen people, the non-chosen are still part of Abraham's descendants. The non-chosen people are still descendants of Abraham. Esau's family is still descendants of Abraham, so they're still receiving part of that promise that they are going to grow up to be a great people. I had something in here that we can get into a little more in the Q&A. That is a book that I looked a little bit about this week. I didn't get time to dive into it, so I didn't want to include too much of it. But talking about the difference here that is made between the elect and the non-elect, right? And so we can get into that more in the Q&A, but we see here that even though Esau's line was the non-elect, they still receive the blessings of God. They're still blessed, and they still are affected by being near the elect. They receive blessing through that as well. Just because they're all descendants of Abraham, and just because Jacob and Esau got along when they separated, doesn't mean Edom and Israel will live peacefully. So the first interaction that we're going to see between these two after this passage is in the book of Numbers, when Israel is wandering through the wilderness. Edom was one of the nations that refused passage to Israel. They had to find another way through, and they were able to avoid conflict that time. But later, David is described as having taken Edom as a vassal. Jehoshaphat had control over Edom. There was an Edomite monarchy that came about during the time of Jehoram, and Elath, which was an important seaport, was taken by the Edomites during the reign of Ahaz. Edom was also able to take advantage at the time of the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem. So there's a lot of confrontation between Israel and Edom throughout the rest of the Old Testament. So, how does all of this today point to Christ? I always like to end any sermon that I do with, how does this point to Christ? And this one is a bit of a tricky passage for how does it point to Christ, because this is actually the line that he does not come from. So, how does this point to Christ? A clear way this genealogy points to Christ is in the way it shows the line not chosen for the Messiah to come from. At this point, Esau's line looks powerful, settled, and successful. He has chiefs, kings, and territories. He's been rooted in place for a while. Even when Esau goes to the hill country of Seir, we see the Edomites take over the land, and the book of Deuteronomy actually says that God gave the land to Edom when they went into Seir. Jacob's line, on the other hand, is small, wandering, and vulnerable. While Esau has chiefs, kings, and territories, Jacob has tents, promises, and a future that he can't see yet. Which of these lines seems more likely for the Son of God to come through? All signs would point to the King of Kings coming from the powerful line, but that's not what we see. We see Jesus coming through the smaller line. We see him coming through the line of the younger brother instead of the older. We see him coming through the unsettled, the wandering, the small, and the weak. And that shows who Jesus came for. He didn't come for the powerful. He didn't come for the settled. He didn't come for the prosperous. He came for the wanderers. He came for the small and the weak. He came for the ones that the world looks down on. He came for those that the world never spares a second thought for. He came to invert our concept of success. Money and possessions and land and power can all be good things. But the true riches come from faithful obedience. They come from submission. They come from knowing that God will keep all of his promises, yesterday, today, and forever. That is where we find our real prosperity, and that is where we become part of the greatest kingdom. So, my question for us today: what do you value? Esau's line shows what happens when someone trades their spiritual birthright for earthly gain. His descendants have land, kings, and influences, but they do not have the covenant, the promises, or the presence of God. They are what happens when you live for the immediate rather than the eternal. So today, here in Logan County, and throughout this year as we move into Lincoln County, whose kingdom are we building? Esau's or Christ's? What kingdom are we building up? Are we building up a present day kingdom? Are we building up something that is going to look great and huge and prosperous now, but have no future eternal value? Or are we building a kingdom that's going to last forever? Is everything that we're doing being done to build up that kingdom? Like Josh talked about when he prayed earlier today. Are we raising disciples who are going to be part of an eternal kingdom? Or are we raising children who are going to have everything that they could want today, but no eternal future? How are we building that kingdom? And what kingdom are we going to build? All right, so let's go ahead. We'll pray, and then we'll enter into the Lord's Supper this morning.